Hello and welcome to Cinema Wellman. I am your host, David, and today I'm joined by Dakota, and Dakota's my sixth co-host, and she has evened things out for the humans. So we had, on the animal side, we had Nora, we had Delta, and we had Pedro, and now for the humans, we have Bryn, and then Hannah, and now Dakota. So Dee was in town to help her friend with a baby shower. Congratulations, Elizabeth and Joe, on your baby. It's a girl, right?
Yes.
Very good. Girls more important. Absolutely. We thought it'd be fun to do a little episode for you while Dee was here in town, and we're going to attach it to this year's birthday project. So this is all good. They're checking a lot of boxes. Her assignment, Dee's assignment, was to come up with a list of movies that she considers to be ours. Like, when you think of our movie-going experience, like, which ones do you think of? I then did the same, and no surprise, we pretty much came up with almost identical lists. So the plan is that I'll introduce each film, and we'll have a little chat about what makes it special to the two of us. The fact that these 6 films have an average IMDb score of 7.6 shows that we're not the only people that really like these movies that we're going to talk about. So, Dee, before we start, and we've got props and things to show you and things like that. So,
how could we not have a prop?
Anything to before we jump in?
Well,
did you want to mention?
You saying a 7.6? You said 7.6 rating. Some of these are much higher than a 7.6.
But they're IMDb get chintzy. They get kind of chintzy sometimes.
They didn't ask for our opinions, I guess.
Well, we can give it.
Maybe we can add it in after this episode.
We won't be the first.
We might be the minority though for that.
Oh, and we also were debating. So today I'm gonna post this on Dakota's birthday. But today is, what is today? Today is Brian's birthday. It's February 23rd, and if I'm not at the factory, it's a snow day. It's a blizzard outside, and we've got over a foot of snow. So we weren't going to screen all of these movies again, but when we anticipated, well, it's going to be a blizzard, so let's do it. So we did rescreen every one of these films,
plus some extras,
plus a couple of extras, and we did them out of order, but we have almost a specific order. We have a definite first that we're going to talk about, and a definite last, and the middle are mixed up. So, where are we going to start, Dee?
Of course, the beginning. And
why do you say the beginning? So we're going to talk about Aladdin. Aladdin from 1992. IMDb says 8.0. Kind-hearted street urchin and a power-hungry grand vizier vie for a magic lamp that has the power to make their deepest wishes come true. Won 2 Oscars, original song, A Whole New World. Wow. And score. So, Dee, why'd you say we're going to start with this because it's the beginning?
Because it came out in 1992, and I was born in 1993. And though I have very little recollection of this, I was told by both of my parents that this movie was on repeat pretty much every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. And because I was very little when it came out, I would refer to it as a dada. I would ask for a dada.
And that's what Dee and I each made some notes for ourselves, and what did I write there?
You put a dada. And I wonder if that was confusing for you as a parent, thinking that I was saying dad and I wasn't.
No. I knew that you didn't want to talk to me. You wanted to watch Aladdin. It was just a dada. And I wrote it needs to lead off because it was Dakota's first binge movie. And yes. I asked you today, do you think triple digits?
Yeah.
Possibly?
Maybe. I think, and I had said since middle school to now, I think I've only seen it a couple of times, maybe. So I might have, as you said, front-loaded potentially triple digits, or have since put myself into triple digits, only watching it once or twice in my adult and teen
I
years.
guess. And I love that there's the family connection with this film and one of the characters, because Hannah in 7th grade.
No, later than that. I thought
it was 7th grade.
Was it 7th grade? She was in middle school. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
Hannah in 7th grade played the genie in her school's production of Aladdin.
Aladdin Jr.
And Bryn
Yeah.
is about to do the same thing
Extending the Aladdin lore in the family.
at the Solly Elementary School's production of Aladdin Jr., which will be Friday, May 15th at 7 p.m. That would be 7608 Solly Road in Glen Burnie,
And there's some
Maryland, if you're
I
there.
think there's VIP tickets.
And
No? I'm just receiving word there are no VIP tickets. It's open to the public.
Open to the public. Okay, so you don't need, but that's where it's going to be, and Bryn is going to be portraying the genie, as Hannah did, and I think that's really funny that things work out that way, and Dakota has that connection. I have a few notes here. Dakota on the spot. Here's the first one.
Oh.
Favorite animated movie? Is this it? Or is there, and it's okay that if it's not it.
I think it's one of. I do also enjoy Alice in Wonderland. That is one that I prefer.
The old school?
Yes. Yeah. Like the old school animated.
Isn't that from the 50s?
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah. I enjoy I'm sure it's directly from the book that was then, adapted into the movie, obviously, but I enjoy the lines of, the thought of I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know which direction to go. And it's like, well, where you're heading? Like, where are you heading? Mm-hmm. The Cheshire Cat asks Alice. And she's like, well, I don't know. And he said, then it doesn't really matter because whichever way you go, because if you're not looking for a specific way to go,
then
you'll find your way.
Yeah, it's all good. And I have a prop under the desk because what did you hand me? Didn't you hand me something the day that you got married?
Oh, I did. It was an Aladdin Pez. A dada for my dada.
A dada for my dada. And I had it inside
dada.
my jacket while she and Lucas got married for the first time.
The first time.
Not that they're like Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor that they got married, divorced, married, divorced,
it was
married,
COVID. We had to have
two
two
marriages.
Thing, yeah.
All right,
two marriages to the same guy, as we like to say.
So Aladdin, we actually watched today.
Yep.
And that was a lot of fun. Next, we have
the best.
We have Frequency, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's the least known of the movies we're going to talk about.
Oh yes.
Because I think there's some people that will say I've never heard of that movie.
Yeah.
And I wrote on my note card I was going to do a little Stefan. This movie has it all.
This movie has everything.
Time travel with butterfly effects,
Yep.
a serial killer case,
Indeed.
strong family relationships, and a subplot involving the 1969 New York Mets.
And the Mets, yes, correct.
And Cleon Jones, and the ball hitting him on the foot. And I was
With the
explaining
shoe
to
polish.
Dakota, she's like, shoe polish. I go, yeah, they had shoe polish on their shoes back then.
Back then.
And then, so go ahead, tell a little bit about what the story about this is. IMDb 7.4.
Decent.
An accidental cross-time radio link. It's a ham radio, right?
Yep.
Isn't that what that connects father and son across 30 years. The son tries to save his father's life, but then must fix the consequences. Those are the butterfly effects.
We love Frequency. I love telling people about Frequency because not only do you and I love this movie so much, like you said, not a lot of people know about it. So anytime I can bring it up and I'm like, you've never seen Frequency?
And it's
must.
It's an odd multi-genre kind of a thing because it is a crime movie.
But it also feels relatable in the sense of it's a father and son. There's family. It's like, what are the lengths that you'd go to help your family, to see them again? Themes of
and we were saying we weren't going to spoil anything. Yeah. If you see the trailer, you'll understand. We're not giving anything away.
No spoilers.
The trailer shows that they're communicating with each other after the father has passed.
Yes.
But that scene in Frequency where they both believe it.
Yeah.
Is really cool.
That's really
that
cool.
Because they're skeptical of you. How dare you be on this channel?
Yeah.
That's my father's name. That's my whatever.
Yeah.
And the other thing that Dee and I always say, so it's Dennis Quaid.
Yep.
And it's
Jim Caviezel.
It's Jim Caviezel. And we've always, since this time, we've always said his name that way.
Yep.
Hey, Dee, do you see who's playing Jesus in the new Mel Gibson Jesus movie?
Could it be Jim Caviezel?
It's Jim Caviezel. They're remaking The Prisoner. Do you see who's number 6?
Jim Caviezel.
Jim Caviezel. So that's a treat. We really enjoyed watching that again.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Next up is it's one, but we decided to in for a penny, in for a pound, as they say. So Dee said, Night at the Museum. Ooh, is that working on camera?
Yes, it is.
But that's fantastic. Anyway, and then there's the second one, and then there's the third one, because, as I say, in for a penny, in for a pound. Now, this is here because Dakota and I both are history people.
Yes.
And our history connection, I dragged her to places that she has no clue she's ever been because she was too little. And Hannah and I have our thing about that. Remember, Hannah and I were in Montreal, and like I went up to a kid in a stroller and said, "You'll never remember any of this. Why are you bringing the kid?" Anyway, and bringing her everywhere, and also giving you not a deck of old maid cards to play with.
A deck of presidents, facts about the presidents and their portraits.
They're official presidential portraits before the poor child could read, pretty much. And James Buchanan was known as James Bushkin.
Yes. I forgot about James Bushkin.
James Bushkin. Buchanan, but whatever. No. You can't read yet, so that's okay. And you knew all of them. You really did. By their portrait. You knew all of the president, and that's on me. That's my fault.
Though, with the beards.
Well, there were a lot of beardy
They
guys.
get confusing with the beards.
And tell the anecdote again. The history connection, the Martin Van Buren thing cracks me up. Were we at Arlington?
No, we were at Washington Irving's house.
Oh, okay.
And we were going through a guided tour with the tour guide / docent of the. To use a Night at the Museum term. Docent.
It wasn't Carla Gugino, but...
and she's walking through the house, and she's saying the tidbits, and I'm up at the front, and Dad's in the back, and she says, many famous people of the time dined here.
Oh, that's right.
Including the 7th President of the United States, Martin Van Buren, and I shot my head around and looked at my dad, and he was like... It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
And we're like...
He was number 8.
And we knew that. And how old were you?
I don't know. Anywhere from 7 to 12. I wasn't...
Whatever. And she's like... What?
How does the historical lady not know...
Do you collect a paycheck and you don't know?
And you don't know the people you're talking about?
And the other thing about history with us is just like I do book clubs now. We've started this, and I do one. Hannah and I are doing few Agatha Christie's, and Dakota and I, we did Jaws. And the second one that we're going to start next week, I think, it's a history book. It's the Endurance. It's the story of Shackleton and Shackleton's adventure, and this is what we choose to read for fun. So that gives you an idea of why these movies are so special and so fun to us, and the fact that I've been at 2 of the 3 museums in these movies, and Dakota's been all 3.
I didn't think as we were watching them, and we started the third one, which part of it takes place at the British Museum in England, and I went, "Oh, I've been there. Oh, I was there. Oh, I stood there." And now that you said that, of course I've been at all 3. That's so crazy. I never even thought about that
because you were at the other 2 with me.
Correct.
So we know that. Although we did do a little research and everything.
Yes.
The second 2 shot in those museums. The first one they built sets
only
to
only the exteriors,
not the double. What do you like? What do you like about those?
I enjoy that they pick historical figures that are well known and recognizable, but also mix in a couple like Bill Hader in the second one plays Custer, and maybe not a lot of people know about the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Yeah, Little Bighorn. Yeah.
And yet people would probably recognize Bill Hader and go, "Oh, okay, he's playing this character, and this is the historical significance and everything." But they teach you the trilogy teaches you about history in a way that isn't boring or not very easy to follow and easy to track, in the sense of like, this is Sacagawea. She was with Lewis and Clark, and they show with Lewis and Clark.
Yeah, and it's not like overly done.
Yeah.
These are who these people were,
and this is their significance,
and why they're significant, and
it's fun to have historical hijinks and wax figures and figurines and
then by the time the 3 films are done, I mean, you've Sir Ben Kingsley, Rami Malek, Christopher Guest.
Yep.
You mentioned Bill Hader. Amy Adams is terrific as Amelia Earhart.
Yep.
the Jonas Brothers.
The Jonas Brothers
show up as cherubs, flying around, and again, it's fun. We have a picture with the dinosaur at the museum, and he's front and center in that. And you also liked how they did the mannequins,
yes, because the mannequins, I have a little bone to pick when it comes to, and we talked about this with Frequency, because in Frequency they have old photos, and then you see sometimes they do the old photos really well. Sometimes it's clearly obvious that they took an existing photo and just photoshopped the actor's face onto it, so it's kind of believable. But with the Night at the Museum trilogy, each of the wax figures or mannequins that come to life, they look more like the actor portraying it. So Teddy Roosevelt, played by the late great Robin Williams, the Teddy Roosevelt wax figure looks like Robin Williams. It doesn't look like Teddy Roosevelt, but it's Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt. Like it looks legitimate.
Yeah.
As if Robin Williams was Teddy Roosevelt.
And he could have been.
He could have been.
I neglected to so the three of them, 2006, 2009, 2014, 2014. Do they 2014? Whatever.
I think either way.
IMDb 6.5, 6.0, 6.2, averaging out to 6.2. The first movie, the synopsis is a newly recruited night security guard, Ben Stiller, at the Museum of Natural History discovers that an ancient curse causes the animals and exhibits on display to come to life and wreak havoc. And those are the museum hijinks. Now, the security guards, there's 100-year-old Dick Van Dyke, who's still going, and Mickey Rooney, who I'm not a fan of, and I've mentioned that here before, but he's really funny in this, because he is so nasty to Ben Stiller and calls him, butterscotch at one point? Flapjack, hot dog, lunchbox. Do you want some of this lunchbox? And it's just so bizarre. And Ben Stiller's like, yep. And the fact that in the first one, who's the employment agency woman that he goes to see? It's his mother.
It's Ben Stiller's mother.
Stuff like that we enjoy in all of them. And it's a good time to mention, we noticed that
there were multiple times throughout after we watched all these films, we noticed a couple similarities that overlapped. And with Night at the Museum and Aladdin, Jedediah in the second movie ends up in a hourglass.
Like drowning in sand.
And then in Aladdin, Jasmine, at one point, Jafar puts Jasmine into an hourglass. So he said 2 characters in hourglasses throughout these movies.
And then we have Jim Caviezel's best friend in Frequency shows up as the assistant coach in our next film, which is Miracle. And we're watching Miracle Sunday, which was the anniversary of the last time the United States won the gold medal in Olympic hockey, and then they won it again on Sunday yesterday. So it was so fun that we watched that and got to relive that. So our next film is Miracle. Miracle, made in 2004. IMDb says 7.5. The true story of Herb Brooks, the player turned coach who led the 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team to victory over the seemingly invincible Soviet squad. And again, it was great fun watching this so close to the events that were taking place over in Italy just days ago. There is trailing, and John Nolan. I think he's the one that told me this story in the beginning. But Micah Ruzioni tells the story about they were in the gold medal game. They're trailing at the end of the second period. And basically Brooks's message to them, quote, according to Ruzioni, if you lose this game, you'll take it to your graves. End quote. He took a few steps, turned around, and said, you're in graves. End quote. And it's just like, we were watching that movie last night, and I go, is that in the Disney version?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they had that in that version.
But, him a little bit nicer.
But that's he was a little nicer, because he wasn't really a nice guy.
No.
And we were laughing about how people that weren't alive have the assumption that the beating the Soviets was the gold medal game.
Yes, because of the triumphancy
Whereas
and the celebration.
And the fact that they beat the Soviets, which was a professional team
Yes.
that played together, some of them for, what did they say,
Like
15 years,
yeah.
and they had won the previous 4 or 6 Olympic gold medals. So this was something, as like a high school going into college guy at the time, it was, what did I say yesterday? It is the most amazing sporting event that I've lived through.
Yeah.
It was that, it was huge, and it was magnificent. And what's our favorite scene in that one?
Well, I mean, I have a couple favorite scenes.
Okay.
Which one are you? Which
well,
one are
go
you talking
ahead.
about? Well, are we talking about after the national team, the Norway game?
What did they tied them, right?
I
don't think they lost. I think they
them.
tied them. Yep.
And
they should have beaten them, and they tied
Brooke
them.
says, "Get me a whistle." And leading up to that scene, he's doing the training camp with and we might have to also mention, because when you mentioned people who weren't alive when it happened and their recollection of it, now the Olympic teams are all professional NHL players, things like that.
Oh,
These
yeah,
are
you had to mention
all
that, right.
College kids.
They were college kids.
They're all college kids. In college, just post-college, things like that. Which I think elevates it to a level that you almost think, oh, they had to have been professionals in order to do this.
Even to compete with them. And a handful of them went to BU.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, because
nice.
I was there right when that was 1980, and I was there in 1980.
But
so
leading up to it, you see in the training camp that he's talking about, in order to beat the Soviets, we're going to have to be conditioned. We're going to have to play hockey differently. We're going to have to do things differently, or we're not, or you have no chance.
No chance.
And so he has them skate. Running would be harder.
They're on skates.
Skating.
They would fall.
Skating lines back and forth, over and over and over. And you see this montage. And so after they have this kind of first big professional game after the team's been established and things like that, and
high profile game. Yep.
They tie, and so he says to the assistant coach, "Find me a whistle." And then it's a continuous scene of them continuing to skate back and forth, and after they played
a full game,
so that they're already tired, they're exhausted, and there's many a times where the assistant coach, who's Gordo in frequency,
and he's like Kurt Russell playing Brooks again,
and he's like, he gives him a look. Are you sure?
Tweet.
They're tired.
Tweet.
And we tried to guess based off of how many times he said again and how many kind of different versions of the scene. We were thinking 20 times,
at least 15, 20 times he made these guys do this after, and it's a grueling practice workout.
Now I'm realizing that I forgot to mention the part of during the training camp, he asked everybody to introduce themselves and say, who are you, where are you from?
Micah Ruzioni, Boston University.
Who do you play for? Things like that. So they're skating and skating and skating and skating. And unprompted, one of the players says his name, where he's from, and Brooke says, who do you play for? And he says, the United States of America. And he's like, okay, we're done. We're done. Because he just wanted them to know that this is bigger than you.
You're
as
together.
It's
not, and as he always said, the name on the back doesn't mean anything.
Name on the front.
On the front.
Yeah.
Like Cinema Wellman. Same thing.
I mean, right now, yes. It's very.
So what? Give me one more scene before we move on to the.
My note card says, we love Kurt Russell.
We do love Kurt Russell, from Dexter Riley in The Computer That Wore Tennis Shoes to he's
the strongest man in the world.
That's right. He was also Dexter Riley. But he's got a Godzilla show on Apple TV.
He does.
Yes, with his son.
You would know.
With his, I haven't watched it yet.
I know, but you would know.
I was told this, and I was just like, who's got a what?
I also have written down, because this was happens to be my birthday episode. In Night at the Museum, my name Dakota is
that's right
said, and the words North Dakota were mentioned in Miracle. So twice in these movies has my name.
I think North Dakota's cheating.
A little bit. But Dakota was said by an actor in the film. But I do love when true stories in movies, at the end, when they say, hey, this is where they are now. This is what they're doing. This is where they ended up. And I know that it was at that point when they released the film, they could be doing different things now. But I do love that, or here's where the story continued. Here's what happened after the movie was done. Or even if it's a movie that isn't very exact to true events, if it was based on a true story or exactly, I feel like Miracles, though it's based on a true story, it seems from what we've read and researched, that it's very true to real events and things like that. But I do
because the guys all, they got in touch. They interviewed everybody, and here's what.
And I'm sure
here's
the
this
players.
and that. Yeah.
I'm sure the players that played the guys that they were playing have met and things like that. So
Yeah, that's always good and very few of them. Well, a bunch of them did play NHL hockey, but not like stars. But Ken Morrow, who John Nolan was also an Islander fan. Andrew loved that. Ken Morrow won the Olympic gold medal in 1980, and he won the Stanley Cup with the Islanders later in 1980.
And then didn't he win like the next
Oh, he
four
won.
with them
He
or
was
something?
part of that dynasty. So he was one of the guys that did go on. But I know Arruzioni never. He was like, I'm
done.
I'm not good enough, and he did very well with speaking engagements.
And things
He
like
became he was all over the place. All right, next from 2006, The Prestige. IMDb 8.5. Two friends and fellow magicians become bitter enemies after a sudden tragedy. As they devote themselves to this rivalry, they make sacrifices that bring them fame, but with terrible consequences. And this was nominated for 2 Oscars: cinematography, deserved, and art direction,
Also deserved.
Yes.
Yes.
The only thing that I'm really going to mention before I turn it over to you is that this is about magic, and it was one of the. It's Hollywood does this once in a while. They did it with Mars. There were 2 Mars movies at the same time.
Yeah.
There's like never any Mars movies, and then there were 2 Mars movies at the same time.
Same thing with the White House Down and what's the other one? Gerard Butler.
Yeah, I thought
London. White House Down. White House Down, and the others falling. Yes. Olympus has fallen, and White House Down.
Right,
same
thing.
Time.
And then, and we were promised at one point 2 Janis Joplin movies. One of them starring Melissa Etheridge, who would have killed it, and we got 0.
None of them.
Janis Joplin movies. But the 2, The Prestige and The Illusionist, that has Jessica Biel and Edward Norton. But this one has Hugh Jackman and Scarlett Johansson, Michael Caine, who's excellent, and Christian Bale. And all I wrote on my card, because I wanted to make sure I mentioned it, is that most people enjoy magic, not Mima, not my mother. And I tell this story all the time. What are you watching? Magic. I don't want any part of that. Why? Nope, don't like it. Why not? I don't like being made a fool of. And I'm like, what? What is that?
Because she didn't know. Because she didn't know how it worked. She's like, I don't know.
I don't know how to do that.
Tricked.
What do I want to watch that? I don't want to. I never could understand that, because she wasn't like a sad, somber person. She just liked stuff, but she didn't know no part of that. But she did it. It's a trick. I go, well, it is a trick. You're right. But
she did not find the joy in the trick.
She couldn't get the joy out of magic that a lot of people do.
Being made a fool.
But this is magic back in the time where, there were magicians working in these opera houses with these
and theaters and getting sponsorships by rich guys who owned
sponsors and stuff like that,
performing across. And directed by Christopher Nolan, in true Christopher Nolan fashion, there's a lot of what?
And then you go,
oh,
Christopher Nolan.
And then you go,
you're really good.
Why didn't I notice that from the beginning?
Yep, because Christopher Nolan. And I always like to say one of the Christopher Nolan films that I understood.
Yes.
And that list isn't that long. I love them, but I don't really understand them all, but I love them. And then we had to start with Aladdin, and we have to finish with Jaws, which if you ever seen the show, I think there's like so many. We must have 8 different episodes that are just Jaws. And we've talked about Jaws so many times, but this film and sharks in general are such our thing that I remember you once wondering to me aloud, am I ever going to give you a gift that's not shark or Jaws related.
Jaws and
I'm getting pajama pants, and I'm getting socks, and I'm getting little plaques, and I'm getting figurines, and I'm getting the gift boxes, that
yep. Just
don't have anything but it's
yep,
sharks. And shark party hats. My 60th birthday that everybody was here, sharks. Everything was sharks. So we always laugh about that. But the other thing is that Dakota and I not only shared the film, but two things that I've talked about multiple times. So I'm going to let you talk about them because they've heard what I've thought about them and everything. So I'm going to ask you to give me a few minutes about. We saw Jaws in concert, where we saw the film outdoors on a huge screen, and the soundtrack was provided by a symphony orchestra.
Yep.
And also, you took me to New York City to see The Shark is Broken, which is a play written by Robert Shaw's son, who was Quint in Jaws. So, all right, I'm going to let you go there, and I'll let you go.
So I saw that this was going to happen, and since we have seen Jaws, I also have gone with Luke to see The Empire Strikes Back at the same venue with an orchestra, and like you have mentioned in that episode where you talked about going there, if you can see a movie that you enjoy that has a great soundtrack, even if the soundtrack isn't Oscar winning or whatever, if you just enjoy it,
and the music's provided by
different experience,
an orchestra in the house.
Yeah, it's a very interesting experience. And I remember before I bought the tickets, I thought, with work and you'd have to drive, down, you'd have to drive a few hours and all these things. And I remember, I think it may have been Thanksgiving or Christmas. I said, hey, Dad, I found this thing and I think you'd be really interested, but I don't want it to, interrupt your schedule or what you're doing. And you're like, yeah, whatever. What is it? I can decide. And I was like, we're seeing, Jaws. And you're like, well, okay. And I went, but orchestra. And you were like, when is it? And then you said, it doesn't matter.
I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't care when it is. Wasn't there one of these two? Wasn't it that one that your mother said? Why
would he travel that far for that? No, it was wonderful. It was, and it poured.
At the end of it.
At the end of it, it poured. It was sunny all day, and the weather was nice, and it was nice and warm, and it was more like probably, I've never been to a 4DX theater, but I feel like it was an external 4DX theater of the warmth of the sun and the ambiance of 4th of July weekend in a undisclosed coastal town.
Oh, well, yeah. We kind of figured that out today. What did we drink? Do you remember what we were drinking?
Oh, we made, I believe now Outback Steakhouse. I think Outback Steakhouse sells it.
How dare
I don't know
them.
if we stole it from Outback Steakhouse and didn't know it.
Blood in the water?
It was Blood in the Water, the little shark that you fill with grenadine and
it's a blue drink. It was like blue curacao and vodka or rum.
We're drinking them in
probably
the park,
vodka because you don't do rum.
lot.
In the park, we're tailgating for it. Pre-gaming and everything. And post-gaming, I had a couple thoughts saying, we're not getting out of here. And that was a great way to end it. And I love you, and this is fantastic. I'm sorry we ended this way. Drowning after a Jaws.
Listen, it was very cinematic, and the environment was very fitting for the movie.
And I love how it was Guitar Hero pretty much for the conductor.
Yeah.
Remember? The scenes going by, and then there was all the colors. And the people were watching, and
they'd be like, "Oh,
shit! Here we go. Get my oboe ready."
But at least when we saw The Shark is Broken, that was inside. That was fun. That was a really cool experience because watching Jaws so many times and knowing the lore as it may be of kind of the actors and experiences behind it, and you being such a huge fan of Jaws and sharks in general, knowing a lot of information, and me growing up knowing that information, it was fun to see it from a perspective that, though is documented, because Ian Shaw has said, like, I wrote this play off of my father's journals and my father's experience and what he's
during this
told me.
Very troubled shoot.
Yeah.
That Spielberg thought would be his very last film he would ever be given the helm of. And
if only he knew. But one of my favorite, I mean, I enjoyed that day immensely, but one of my memories from that was the usher who asked the people in front of us if they wanted to move up seats because they hadn't sold seats that were closer to the stage. and they made it.
We're in the balcony.
Yeah, we weren't
And the
that far.
balcony was sweet.
We had
It's
open leg room.
but it's the stage was just the orca on the water, and they did it so well.
A little bit. It wasn't super high balcony because when you say balcony, you think high up.
Oh yeah, no, it was a little theater. Yeah,
and they made such a stink. They're like, why would we move? We're here. Why would we move? And then she went, okay, that's totally fine. And then she took 2 steps to the left and went, hi, would you like to? And we were like, yes, sure, definitely.
I was like, where is it? And it was like 5 rows closer.
Yeah. And it was a little angled, but it was angled in a right way, like in a good way where you got more of the...
Pshaw.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
It was wonderful.
So great.
Yeah.
So those are our 6. We got Aladdin, Frequency, All the Nights at the Museum, Miracle, Prestige, and Jaws are Dakota's pick 6 or 6-pack as she becomes our 6th co-host.
We love numbers.
We do love numbers, and we love magic numbers in this family. And thank you, sweetie.
Of course.
And
thanks
for the visit.
Me. Of course.
And thanks for co-hosting.
Yay.
And we hope you're back with us next time, which will be... Oh, wait a second. I don't know.
Oh.
I know there's another one, but it's going to happen before I show this one.
Okay.
So you'll have to find
Suspense.
out on your own. But we hope you're well, and we hope you enjoy this little
little charcuterie board of movies.
It is a little charcuterie. And until then, take care.